Welcome to the Online Digital Marketing Podcast. We'll be discussing marketing strategies, trends, and tips that will help your business succeed in the digital age. Every episode, we'll be interviewing industry professionals and providing valuable insights on how to leverage digital tools for maximum engagement and ROI. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest trends in online marketing.
Okay, I want to start with this scenario that I think is going to hit a little too close to home for a lot of people listening.
Mm-hmm.
You know that feeling in business where everything is just clicking?
Oh, yeah, the flow state.
It's almost effortless. The calendar's packed, leads are flowing in, cash flow's healthy. You feel like a genius.
Like you finally cracked the code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it feels like without any warning, someone just walks into the back room of your business and flips a breaker switch.
And the lights go out.
Complete darkness.
Yeah.
The phone stops ringing. The inbox is just silent.
And that silence is deafening. It's a really visceral feeling.
Oh, totally.
Mm.
And about 3 days into that silence, you start to spiral.
Mm.
You're asking yourself, what did I break? Or did the algorithm change again? Or, the really dark one.
Was I just lucky?
Yeah, was I just lucky before and now I'm being exposed as a fraud?
That is the universal fear, the feeling that you've lost that magic touch. But what we're digging into today, this whole seasons of business philosophy, heavily influenced by Jim Rohn, it suggests something else.
What's that?
You didn't break anything. You haven't failed. You've simply changed seasons.
Right. And that was the big takeaway for me in the research. It isn't just, business has ups and downs. It's way more specific.
Cyclical.
It's cyclical, just like nature.
Yeah.
And so much of the anxiety comes from trying to live in this, eternal summer. We treat a downturn, what Rohn calls winter, as a permanent failure.
Instead of a predictable season that just requires a different strategy.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you walked outside in January wearing a t-shirt and you started freezing, you wouldn't say, I have failed as a human being.
Of course not.
You'd say, I'm dressed wrong for the season. But in business, for some reason, we take the cold so personally.
So our mission today is really to help you figure out which season you are in right now, because the sources are so clear on this.
Mm.
If you are trying to harvest crops in a blizzard or, fix your tractor when you should be planting, you are going to lose.
You have to match the behavior to the cycle. That is really the only way.
So let's start with that philosophy. The whole nature versus business thing seems simple, but the notes point out a really critical distinction about control.
It starts with a hard truth.
Okay.
You cannot change the seasons. In a business context, the seasons are the economy, the market, interest rates, the algorithms.
All the external stuff.
Right. These are external forces. They are going to happen with or without your permission.
Which is usually where people get depressed, right? I have no control.
Well, you have no control over the weather, but you have total control over your shelter.
Oh.
That's the idea. You can't change the season, but you can change yourself. The variable is you.
And that's the emotional trap. When the market turns, when winter hits, our default is to treat it like a house fire.
An emergency.
Yeah, an emergency.
Yeah.
I need to put this out right now.
Exactly. Most entrepreneurs only have two modes, winning or emergency. But winter isn't an emergency. It's a cycle.
And if you could just recognize that no season lasts forever.
You stop panicking and you start preparing. You shift from being reactive to being responsive.
Okay, so let's get into the seasons themselves. I want to start with winter because I feel like that's where most of the pain is. The outline calls it the season of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know, objectively, if you're in winter?
Well, the metrics are usually the first sign. Lead volume drops off, cash flow tightens up.
Conversion rates start to slip.
Yeah, all that. But the internal indicators, they're even louder.
The mindset.
Yes. Winter is characterized by the urge to blame. When you're in winter, you find yourself obsessing over external things.
The economy is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram hates my content.
Nobody is buying right now. It's a defensive posture.
I have definitely been there. I mean, it feels safer to say the game is rigged than to admit I need to change how I'm playing.
That's the trap. And the sources really emphasize that winter requires this massive mental shift. From blame
to responsibility.
Exactly. Winter is not a punishment from the universe. It is simply time for internal maintenance.
The analogy that stuck with me from the reading was the farmer in the barn. When the fields are frozen, the farmer isn't out there crying in the snow.
No, they're inside, sharpening the plow.
Right. They're doing the work that makes the next harvest possible. So what does that look like in a business?
The sources outline 3 critical actions for winter. First one is financial. Stop leaking money.
This is the unsexy part. This isn't about making more. It's about keeping what you have.
Absolutely. When business is booming in summer, we get sloppy. It's just human nature.
Oh, for sure.
We sign up for 5 software subscriptions we don't use. We hire contractors we don't really need. Winter is the audit. You have to go through your P&L with a machete.
It's defensive. You can't score right now, so you have to stop the other the expenses from running up the score.
That's a great way to put it. You're protecting the castle. The second action is skill acquisition.
And this isn't just read a generic business book.
No. The sources are talking about high-leverage skills that you ignore when you're busy.
Like actually learning how your CRM works or figuring out automations, the stuff that feels like a distraction when you're closing deals.
But it's the engine of the business. If you struggled to close deals in the fall, winter is when you take a negotiation course.
You use the downtime to sharpen the axe.
And that leads right into the third action, system repair.
This is huge.
It's critical. If your systems were creaking a little bit at peak volume, they are going to shatter the next time you scale. Winter is when you reinforce the floorboards.
You fix the onboarding process, you clean up the email lists.
All of it.
You know, it's funny because when you look at it this way, winter actually sounds productive.
It is.
If you realize winter's for tightening the ship, you stop beating yourself up for not making sales every minute. You're still working, just on the business, not in it.
That perspective shift is the only thing that preserves your sanity. It changes the whole narrative from I'm failing to I'm preparing.
Okay, so we've done the work, we've tightened the budget, fixed the systems. Now we feel that shift. We're moving into spring, this season of opportunity.
And you will feel it. The energy changes. It goes from internal to external.
Green shoots.
You start seeing green shoots. Leads trickle in. Ideas start flowing. The market warms up.
But the sources had a really interesting warning here. I expected spring to be all sunshine, but Jim Rohn says spring is when weeds grow too.
It's a fundamental law. The sun doesn't discriminate. It feeds the flowers and it feeds the weeds.
And in business, weeds are what? Distractions.
Distractions or bad opportunities that look like good ones because you're desperate.
Can we be specific?
Yeah.
Because I feel like distraction is too soft. A business weed can be fatal.
Oh, absolutely. The most dangerous weed in spring is the bad client.
Ugh.
You've been starved for revenue all winter. So when someone shows up who pays half your rate and demands double your time, you say yes.
You think, I just need the cash flow.
But that client is a weed. They choke out the space where good clients could grow. They consume all the resources you need to nurture the high-value crops.
So you have to pull those weeds early.
You have to stick to your standards, even when you're hungry. Otherwise, you end up with a garden full of problems by summer.
Which brings up the other trap from the notes, the perfection trap.
Oh, this is huge, especially for creative types. We spend all winter in the barn making things perfect. We polish the website. We tweak the logo.
Right.
But spring rewards volume and speed. You cannot wait for conditions to be perfect. You have to switch from a defensive strategy to an offensive one.
You have to sow seeds. Aggressively.
Yes, I see this all the time. People miss the entire planting window because they're still picking the perfect font for their pitch deck.
Guilty.
Spring is messy. You have to be okay with the mess. The goal is just to get the seeds in the ground, make the calls, send the emails, launch the campaign. If you hesitate in spring, you starve and fall.
Okay, so we've planted aggressively. We've avoided the bad clients. Now we move into the heat. Summer. The season of protection.
And this is where the notes get really interesting, because most people think summer is the easy part.
It's the school's out vibe, right?
But in business, summer is dangerous.
Why? I mean, the money's rolling in, the schedule is full. What's the risk?
The risk is success fatigue, or what the notes call the fat and happy syndrome.
Complacency.
It's insidious. When you are just overwhelmed with customers, standards start to slip. You stop returning calls within the hour. You push it to 24 hours. You stop double-checking the product quality because you're just trying to get it out the door.
You start thinking you're untouchable because the cash is there.
It's like a restaurant that gets popular. Suddenly the portions get smaller, the service gets slower, but they don't notice because the line is still out the door.
Until one day, the line just stops.
That is the danger of summer. Your main job in summer isn't just fulfilling orders, it's protecting your reputation against your own busyness. You have to fight the operational drag.
So the strategy for summer is almost psychological. It's forcing yourself to maintain winter-level discipline, even when the sun is shining.
You have to act like you're still hungry, because the second you get sloppy, the insects, the competitors, the bad reviews, they start eating your crop.
So we hold the line in summer, we keep standards high, and then inevitably the season turns. We arrive at fall, the season of harvest.
Or as I like to call it, the season of truth.
That sounds intense, but the source material here is probably the most, intellectual part of the whole philosophy, this idea of harvest as data.
This is what separates the amateur from the pro. Fall reveals the absolute truth of your previous efforts. There are no excuses in the harvest.
The numbers are the numbers.
Numbers are the numbers. You can't debate your bank account balance. Now, imagine two business owners looking at a poor harvest. Let's say they missed their revenue target by 40%.
Okay.
The immature owner looks at that and makes it about their identity. I am a failure. They panic. They blame the weather, the market, the ads. It's an emotional collapse.
The why is this happening to me reaction.
Exactly. But the mature owner, they practice emotional detachment. They view the harvest not as a judgment, but as objective feedback on their strategy.
So they see that 40% miss and they don't cry.
They get curious.
That's the diagnostic approach from the notes.
Yes. They ask, okay, why is the crop small? Did we not plant enough seeds in spring? Okay, that's a volume problem.
Or did we plant enough, but they died in summer?
That's a retention or product problem.
Mm-hmm.
Did we plant the seeds in rocky soil? That's a targeting problem.
Wow, that is so freeing. Because if it's just data, it's a solvable equation. But if you treat it as a moral failing, you're just paralyzed.
Precisely. The fall data dictates the winter work. If you realize your retention failed in summer, guess what you're working on in the barn during winter?
A new retention system.
The harvest tells you exactly what to fix.
And just like that, the cycle restarts.
It always does.
So, to synthesize this for everyone listening, it's a 4-step cycle that just repeats. Winter is preparation and responsibility. You fix the boat.
Mm-hmm.
Spring is action and opportunity. You sail the boat, but watch for weeds.
Right.
Summer is protection. You keep the boat afloat with all the heavy cargo. And fall is evaluation. You measure how far you traveled.
That is the roadmap. And the ultimate takeaway is really about maturity. A mature business owner identifies the season not to panic, but to know which tool to reach for.
If it's winter, you don't reach for the harvesting combine. You reach for the wrench.
Correct. And this brings us right back to personal agency. We started by saying you can't control the seasons, but if you know how to use the seasons, you don't need to control them.
You just need to respond to them. It takes the victim mentality completely off the table.
You're not a victim of the economy. You're just a participant in a cycle. And struggling in one season doesn't mean the struggle is permanent.
It just means you have work to do before the season changes.
Exactly.
So let's give the listeners something to do with this. The homework seems pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Look at your business right now, your leads, your energy, your cash flow, and explicitly name your season.
Don't guess. Look at the data. Are you in winter? Are you in summer? Say it out loud.
And then the hard question, are you behaving like it?
Oof, yeah.
Are you trying to aggressively sell, which is spring behavior, when your product is actually broken and needs fixing, which is winter behavior?
That misalignment is where, I swear, 90% of business stress comes from. Align the behavior with the season and the friction just goes away.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought to chew on. It builds on that harvest as data idea, and I think it's a really provocative way to end this.
Let's hear it.
So we've established your business results are just a neutral report card on your strategy. They aren't about you as a person.
Right.
So here's the challenge. If you took all the emotion completely out of your business today, if you stopped feeling guilty about downtime or arrogant about success or scared of the silence, and you just did a cold, emotionless audit of where you are, what is the very first thing you would change?
That's the question, because usually we know exactly what that thing is.
We're just too emotional to do it.
Exactly. Figure out what that change is and go do it. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next week.
Ready to take your online business to the next level? Subscribe to our digital marketing podcast and then join our Accountability for Success Mastermind. With expert advice from industry leaders, you'll gain knowledge and insights that will help you succeed in today's digital marketing world. From social media strategies to search engine optimization, we have all the tools you need. Learn from successful entrepreneurs and take control of your online success. Join the Accountability for Success Mastermind now at bit.ly/AFSM podcast.